People who skipped their COVID vaccine are at a higher risk of traffic accidents, according to a new study. I've got questions. Oh my God, I just thought of another angle. Oh my goodness, they don't understand the underlying potential racism of this study, the discrimination of this study. Who's statistically less likely to get vaccinated? We know it. Blacks, Latinos, Indigenous, Canadians, and Americans. Why? Because of the history of the government of abusing of those ethnic groups. Who would be more likely to skip their COVID vaccines? Blacks, Latinos, and Indigenous Canadians and Americans. Who would be more likely to get into a car accident? Well, if you swap out one qualification, this article is either saying that minorities are worse drivers or suggesting it is, suggesting they should be taxed more. Or that Caucasian drivers who are statistically more vaccinated should get benefits on their car insurance. Didn't think of that one until now. Oh my God, are we living through madness? Should not have used God's name in vain. If you passed on getting the COVID vaccine, you might be a lot more likely to get into a car crash. No, you know why? Because those things have absolutely nothing to do with one another. There's a way to make it make sense. I'll get there in a second. Or at least those are the findings of a new study published this month in the American Journal of Medicine. During the summer of 2021, Canadian researchers examined the encrypted government-held records of more than 11 million adults, 16% of whom hadn't received the COVID vaccine. They found that the unvaccinated people were 72% more likely to be involved in a severe traffic crash, in which at least one person was transported to the hospital, than those who were vaccinated. By the way, you stupid idiot. I'm sorry. Oh my God, there's thoughts coming into my head now in real time. Do you know who would be statistically less likely to be vaccinated? Like, set aside the racist argument now, not Black Canadians, Indigenous Canadians, or Latino Canadians and Americans. Who would be less likely to get vaccinated? Young people. Who are most likely to get into car accidents in the first place? Young people, you dumbasses. Oh my gosh. There's your explanation, by the way. You know who gets into car accidents statistically more often than anyone else? Young people. Who would be more? I'd like to know the age bracket of those who got into the car accidents under the study. Maybe we find out here. Maybe we find out, maybe we don't, because we're being lied to. That's similar to the increased risk of car crashes for people with sleep apnea, though only about half of that of people who abuse alcohol. The excess risk of car crash posed by unvaccinated drivers exceeds the safety gains from modern automobile engineering advances and also imposes risks on other road users. Can I know the age of the bracket? Can I know the age of the people who got into the car accidents? The average age, or is it the mean or the median? You know what I mean? Of course, skipping a COVID vaccine does not mean that someone will get into a car crash. Instead, the authors theorize that people who resist public health recommendations might also neglect basic safety guidelines. Or they might just be young drivers who don't have that part of their brain fully developed yet and typically get into increased accidents regardless, which is why insurance on a young person driver is a lot more than an insurance on someone who has a proven track record of safety. Oh, do they tell us the age? Why would they ignore the rules of the road? Distrust the government? A belief in freedom? Misconceptions of daily risks? Faith in natural protection? Antipathy toward regulation? Poverty? Misinformation? A lack of resources? And personal beliefs are potential reasons proposed by the authors. The findings are significant enough that primary care doctors should consider counseling unvaccinated patients on traffic safety. Can you understand what we're talking about here? Sounds like you need to go to re-education camp, Mr. Unvaccinated patient. You don't want to get vaccinated? Have you talked about traffic safety lately? I might have to refer you to the government for a mandatory traffic safety course. Holy shit. And insurance companies might base changes to insurance policies on vaccination data, the author suggests. I like short articles. First responders may also consider taking precaution. Oh my God, I didn't even get to this part. This is next level delusional insanity. First responders may also consider taking precautions to protect themselves from COVID when responding to traffic crashes. Hold on. Oh my goodness. This is what I look like without my glasses, by the way. Not good. Okay. Oh my goodness. They are suggesting, this is showing the thought process of the authors, that when you get into an emergency situation of a car crash, and you're a presumably vaccinated first responder, you might want to take additional precautions. You might want to take a little more time getting to that accident. You might want to mask up the victim. Like, if they're lying there with their head through the windshield, maybe just put a mask on them first, because you don't want to, you vaccinated first responder, don't want to potentially get a virus that has virtually no risk for you given your demographic and presumably that vaccination status. You might potentially get the virus from this unconscious victim laying in their car, which might get you sick. And even if that happens, because they happen to be unvaccinated, your chances of survival are all but guaranteed. Unless you happen to be like one of those EMTs that's 75 years old with COPD, heart condition, diabetes, one of those obese 70-year-old EMTs sweating as you run to the scene of the accident. This is pathological insanity. Or what are they going to do also, by the way? Are they going to make people, when they drive, wear a bracelet or like a patch to identify if they're vaccinated, so that first responders know their level of risk when getting to them? I don't know. Maybe insurance companies should make drivers wear a little medical alert bracelet if they're not vaccinated, so first responders know if they have to treat them at a distance. It's delusional. The findings suggest that unvaccinated adults need to be careful in the author. I'm going to tell you this. This is hate speech, as it's more likely that a driver is unvaccinated than vaccinated. It is likely that the driver is of a dirty cast. And by the way, if the driver's black or indigenous or Latino, chances are they're more likely unvaccinated. Treat them with caution. This is when we have heard about how people became willing executioners, good people, civilized societies descent into madness, where good people did atrocious things. Get people to believe absurdities, you can get them to commit atrocities. And we are right now here getting them to believe absurdities so that we can actually imply that they should commit atrocities. The findings suggest that unvaccinated adults need to be careful indoors with other people and outside with surrounding traffic, the authors concluded. Yeah, those cars are just flying through people's houses. Those unvaccinated drivers just zipping off freeways into people's houses. This isn't the first time that researchers have examined the link between behavior and vaccination status among young adults. A 2021 study published by the blah, 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 finds a report between self-reported risky driving and having skipped their flu vaccine. It examined this. Oh my goodness, people. We're through the looking glass in the worst possible way. Mahuyo $5 Rumble Rant. I'm willing to bet that they didn't even do any math or check the background behind these people. That's a $5 Rumble Rant. Thank you very much. Chisholm, a $1 Rumble Rant, says, in all the car accidents I've responded to over the course of my career, they have all had one thing in common. They were outside. I'm not worried about getting a virus in a crumpled car outside. Just appreciate the absolute insane conclusions that they're coming to. Treat them with, oh God, take a few more minutes. Put a mask on them. Be careful. If they've gotten into a car accident, they might be unvaccinated. You vaccinated EMT might get the virus from them, and especially if they're Black, Latino, or Indigenous. Then you really have two strikes against them for being vaccinated. Be wary. Be careful of them. Oh, and by the way, tax them more. This is how you go from the offensive idea of François Legault in Quebec, the Premier of Quebec, to tax the unvaccinated because of their increased burden on the healthcare system, allegedly. Even though it happens to be the case now that the majority of people in the hospital with COVID are vaccinated. Set that aside. That's only because everyone's vaccinated. At one point, they floated that idea. Too many people found it offensive. Well, let's get a little science with a little bullshit media. Let me take that back. Let's get a little bullshit science, backed up a little bullshit media, to prime the general population to unequal treatment of the vaccinated in a manner that will make it palatable for them to condone atrocities, to condone discrimination against their fellow citizens. That's how it works. What were the ages of the people who got into car accidents on average, you dumbasses. I'm sorry, I'm swearing too much today. What was the age? What was the average, mean, whatever the term is in math, of the people who got into car accidents? I'm going to wager a guess. And say it was under 30. I might even wager a guess to say that there was statistical overrepresentation in the over 16 but under 20 category. More likely to not get vaccinated because they're young and healthy. And in their minds, that might be enough. I don't want to get into a Joe Rogan trouble here. Young and healthy, and might have certain risks that they don't want to run into with the jibby jab, like, a little swollen heart. One of the rare times in life when having a big heart is not exactly what you want. It might be that demographic who are statistically the ones that represent a lot of car accidents in the first place, statistically are the least at risk requiring vaccination in the second place, and are statistically the most at risk for getting vaccinated in the first place. I'd like to know. P. Moyer, $3 Rumble Rant. When I first saw the driving article, I thought of this website with other humorous correlations that are clearly not causations. TylerVigen.com/spurious-correlations. Tyler, TYLER-VIGEN.com/spurious, like the word, -correlations. For anyone listening to this on podcast tomorrow or this afternoon, who knows? Okay, well, that's one fake news element story of the day. Outrageous.